If you're going to do the moldings in your home, do you need an expensive saw to get great results? Today we're going to compare the $2,000 Festool Kapex Mitre Saw, the $138 10-inch Ryobi Mitre Saw, and the $25 Fuller Mitre Box complete with saw. So in order to figure out just how much saw you need, I've built a scale replica of the Great Wall of China, and we're going to cut some baseboards. We're going to do an outside miter, a standard return, a turn down return with each of the saws, and then as I'm making the cuts, I'll let you know my thoughts and tips for each of the saws. Then I'll quickly install the pieces. Then we're going to get to the shocking results. Well, I don't know if they're shocking. I haven't done it yet. Either way, I'm pretty excited. Let's do this thing. The Festool Kapex. Now this is a saw that I've been using for the last 6 years, and if I had to battle in a hypothetical finishing carpentry fight to the death, the Kapex would definitely be my saw. Now I'm not going to say too much about this saw. I do have a full review on the channel if you are interested. The 10-inch Ryobi Mitre Saw. One handy little tip for this saw and pretty much any miter saw that you get is to adjust the bevel stop so that it allows the saw to go past 45 degrees to 46 degrees. That's what I cut the miters for this test. To do that on this saw, there's just a little nut bolt combination. Loosen that up a bit and it will allow the saw to go over to 46. I highly recommend doing that on any saw that you're going to get. And while it's hard to argue with the value of this saw, I picked it up to be a backup saw that I could leave on site without having to worry about it. I did end up giving it away to my buddy. I really grew to hate the hard start on the saw. When you pull the trigger, it lurches like crazy, and that's probably not a big deal if you're not used to the ultra smooth Festool Kapex or even the soft start of the Hitachi saw that I used previously. The $25 Fuller Mitre Box. Now I screwed this down to a plywood bench, clamped it down, leveled off the cutting table as I do with all my miter saws. I made a bunch of practice cuts. I wanted to give this saw every chance it had to compete with the electric saws. Wouldn't that be just incredible if it could do just as nice of a job as a $2,000 saw or even the $100 Ryobi? I mean, I have high hopes. Let's see what happened. The results are in, there's a clear winner, but more importantly, there is a resounding, rock-solid recommendation that I'll make at the end if you're looking to get a saw to do some moldings at your house. Starting off, if we look at the classic returns here, you do one of these returns if you were trying to end the molding at like a staircase or just looking to terminate it without butting it into anything. There's not a huge difference between the three saws. The Ryobi and the Kapex, virtually perfect. They're both looking great. You sand that up a little bit, paint it, you're never gonna notice these. The handsaw, I mean, a little bit of filler in there, some sanding, definitely passable. I was surprised at how nice that actually turned out for cutting such a small piece with the handsaw. When we come over to the turn down returns or like a picture frame miter that you would do around a doorway. Again, the two electric saws, the Kapex is definitely a nicer, cleaner cut, and it's almost a virtually perfect miter. The Ryobi is definitely decent. A little bit of filler in there, some paint, sanding. You're not gonna notice that, definitely passable. The handsaw, it's starting to get not great. I mean, I've seen much worse in various jobs that I've been on. A little bit of filler, some sanding, paint, passable. Not great, but not the end of the world. But then when we get over to the outside miter, this is where the handsaw has too much to drink and just falls down and smashes its nose on a curb. This is gross. I tried a couple of times. I tried to kind of change the angle a little bit on the saw. This is about as good as I could get. Yeah, there's like a 3/16 gap in here. The Kapex, again, is virtually perfect. The Ryobi is looking great as well. It's not quite as nice, but definitely a million times better than the handsaw. But my recommendation, if you're doing some moldings around your house and you need to get a saw, it's gonna be difficult to go wrong with the Ryobi saw. If you can get it on sale, you can't beat the value there. If you wanted to upgrade slightly, you could look at a DeWalt or the rigid saw. You're going to get a little bigger fence, so you could potentially do some crown molding on those saws. But if you're just doing smaller baseboards, smaller door trims, kind of in that 3 to 5 inch range, that Ryobi saw is tough to beat. And once you fill and paint these, you're never going to be able to tell the difference between a $100 and a $2,000 saw. And hey, check out this video right up here. I'm going to be posting it next week. We're going to be flipping over the Great Wall of China, and we're going to settle the debate once and for all. Should you be coping your inside miter joints? And if you do not cope them, are you a loser? Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the video next week.